this past week, I was able to, well, not really able, but there are more and more people excited about low-code stuff inside the forum, inside the community, and so on. So one of them was posting this cool object builder form database builder that he was working on, not with Holochain, but in other systems. And that he was looking to integrate with something called grapes.js. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Go for it.
Yeah, awesome. So if you haven't seen this, well, let's just go to the demo and see what it is. Okay, so you might start recognizing this already. Like, this is a low-code website builder with drag and drop things. You can move around, you can well, duplicate, you can embed new things. And here is the exciting thing for me. This blocks thing that we have maps so well to what we already have that it will be like very, 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 very little effort to actually attach what we have in here. And we can talk if that's what we want or whatever. I'm dying to do this, basically. I can't wait. But yeah, we can talk about this and about the strategy. So the most interesting thing about this, because you could say, okay, this is like Wix or this is like SharePoint or whatever, but this is a framework. This is a library. This is not a full stack thing. We don't have to buy into any of their assumptions to be able to make it work for us. We just embed it, and it's free, and it's open source, and it's a library, and it's wonderful. So that's why I'm so excited about it.
I love it. Can you show me the newsletter demo just quickly?
I haven't even gone there. Let's see. Right. So it's basically, yeah.
Okay.
It's
okay.
another layout, basically. Like, okay, here you could imagine how you could construct a newsletter. Mm-hmm. And it has some responsive modes as well.
And then what do you do? Do you just export the code and drop it into your email program? Like,
it's even better. But this is getting technical. So there is a thing, yeah, without getting too technical, there is a thing they have called storage manager, which is basically you define a storage manager and you plug it and it just works. So for example, if you want to store it on a centralized database, you define a storage manager going to that centralized database, and it just automatically loads and saves when the user, well, like the one that's controlling everything happening, it's the library, right? So when the user, I don't know, there is a save button here, or I don't know exactly how would you enable this. But if you pay attention, this has already saved. What I'm doing here, I drag and drop the tabs and they are already saved. And this is because the storage manager defined here is to save locally in the computer. So if you change that to Holochain, which is 20 lines of code, then you have it working without anything else.
Well, I think we should probably do that then.
No, I think we should start. We should start from scratch. Wow, Guillem! I looked at all of this and it looks utterly brilliant. It's exactly. I can see why you're excited, and I'm keen to understand I won't be able to understand you yet, but in a few weeks, I'd like to ask you how this fits into the kind of architecture discussion we're having with Holo, so I can really get my brain around it. And you know, because and how this, yeah. Anyway, I'll park those questions for you until I can understand your answers.
Sure, makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah, Guillem, it seems like there are a series of tools out that are either built or getting built out there. But it seems like there are a ton of tools out there just emerging or being built that really are almost built for Holochain, in that they're sitting there existing on the layer above, as you said, 10, 20, 30 lines of code that connect directly in. And it feels like a lot of this low-code tooling work is being done. It must be just because of these meetings that we've been having. It seems like people are responding so well. Yeah, they're just building the tools that we need.
Yeah, but it's interesting, right? Yeah. So I don't think we have that much influence yet, but maybe in the near future.
Well, it's time to come. I mean, if you look, this is just a repeat of when people, you know, when we all got fed up of having to code every line on the web page, okay? Or before that, I mean, when I started we started Europe's first DOS-based multimedia company. We had to hard code in C, anti-aliasing in any movement or animation. There was nothing. Everything was like hard coded. And then Grasp came along, which allowed you to actually animate and all these tools. So I'm not surprised with this, because with the editors, we're like 2 years, we were waiting for them so painfully. And when they came, it exploded. So I'm not, you know, we've had sort of app tools, building tools, but nothing that can actually embed it back to the back end. That's the magic of this.
Right. And with these things, I think what normally has happened is that editors like this were possible, because we all know some editor that can do something like this. But usually the company behind it didn't free it up, because it was the source of its profit, right?
Yeah.
Now this is open source, backed by a bunch of companies that are doing that in an open source way. And in open source, it's funny, because once you do that, you put that activation energy in, then the whole dynamic changes, because now we are going to start using this. Everyone is going to start using this, and this is going to get more and more support. And this happens like everywhere in open source, this kind of dynamic. So, yeah, it's really interesting.
I'm really interested in how the feedback will go, because as we start building things, so that community be interested in the layer that we built and that integration into Holo. This could be a really interesting bridge for Holo feedback into that community.
Right. So, Guillem, when can you write 20 lines of code?
So I have a workshop I'm running this next Wednesday, but next thing I'm very excited about is this. And I think with 2 days, I should have it. Like, and I'm not trying to be like, this looks really, really easy. Also, because if you think about it, what I had already resembles a lot, in the sense that you have blocks and you track them and they work, right? Yeah. So it's going to be mostly adapting the APIs, and it should mostly work, no problem at all. So I hope for next week to have it. Let's see. This is making like all the assumptions in the world and doing the easy way. But anyway, I think it's like, I'm dying to play with this already. So I think it's probably worth it.
Belinda, should we start thinking about what we would do with this? What would be the first app we'd construct?
Stephen, are we there yet? Like, because is this so? Guillem, what that would allow me to build a web page, right? That is actually a web app, but it just looks like a web page, correct? Which can be a shell, which can be a container then for app functionality, right?
Right. So if you think normally these web page generator things, they are normally static with some maybe dynamic blocks that are mostly like Wix has the dynamic block of Wix newsletter and things like that, you know?
Yes.
In this case, we are going to be able to embed the calendar we already have, or the like fully dynamic and like and if you configure it properly, it will feel like a web app, not a web static page, right?
Yeah.
But this is already on behalf of the user that wants to build this. Another piece of context I can add is that we already have the mutual credit module in there, ready to be used for us if we want. Just because, well, with the commoning people, we are advancing, right? So we just reached that point in which it's there. So yeah, we could start looking at making first application.
Cool.
So Guillem, could you put in the chat, or could you send me a link I can read something on that mutual credit model so I can get my head around what they've done? What is it? I've read bits before, but I've never been any the wiser after reading about it.
Right. That's the weak point, at least. Like, yeah, I'll send you the code. Okay, there is a blog post by Paul Dowse that is very informative in that sense, and I think that can be a very good read. Although right now the code is very like it works from the UI and so on, but it's not secure still, and it still needs some configuration options. So yes, that's the long answer for yes, I'm sending you links.
Thank you.
I think this is really cool. So one of the things that Belinda and I chatted about last week, one of the ideas for the low code, and hello to everyone out there who's been inspired by this, because I know I've had a lot of feedback of people who found this series really exciting. But if there's anyone else out there that wants to jump on with the four of us and has something really ready, wants it to get built, like wants to do some of the value work with Stephen and Belinda either beforehand or afterwards, there's quite a great team here with the three guys who are willing and available. So it doesn't only have to be Stephen and Belinda, you guys building your stuff. We can welcome someone else who goes through the value work with you both, and then comes on and, like, you know, it's like wants to get something built and can use this tooling that Guillem's spinning up. So yeah, I guess an open invitation to anyone who's watching or in your ecosystem that we want to bring on in the next, you know, in a fortnight or in a month.
Yeah, great. Thanks, David.
I can say participating in other conversations in the Holochain ecosystem, again and again, I'm finding myself like saying, oh, okay, you also want to put like the social context first, and then the social context has the components it needs, right? So again and again, like people coming into Holochain have already more or less this shift, let's see in the future, but the people that are coming and interested in building Holochain applications, a lot of them already want this kind of thing. So I already have some people I can ask because they have expressed interest, a lot of interest into this.
Great.
David, I'm working on a quiz, an informative quiz, like a game, so that people can get their head around value. And I've been struggling with this for a long time, as you know. But I want to get down to it. So it's like a pre-qualifier that someone can do the quiz and then understand how, or basically to get to the end conclusion, which is what's the worth of your good idea and is it worth it? And therefore, if it's worth it, will it work? Okay, because if it's not worth it, people won't buy into it.
Can't hear you.
Stephen, something just happened to your audio.
Stephen, we can't hear you.
Hello? I've gone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now I can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Oh yeah, so what I was saying, the quiz will be so that by the end of the quiz, it can give you a sense of what is value and does your good idea, is it likely to generate sufficient meaningful value? So let's say what the difference is, you're of the view that it's beneficial. Okay, no measurement, maybe a cost benefit analysis, but it's beneficial. But is that actually of what does that mean to the people who use it? And is that meaning of value to them? And is it of sufficient value by virtue of solving their pain or problem for them to want to embrace it? And then secondly, that's its inherent value. Is there a purpose? Is there some meaningful purpose that they have? And is your good idea fit for that meaningful purpose in terms to realize it? So I've scoped it right down, and I'll be showing that to Belinda next week sometime. And if we've got that, we can create there, and then that will help people. And then if anybody's got a serious idea with a commercial idea, we can then fast track them through a sprint, where we can get them, they can join up for a sprint, and actually then either do it a very, very quick and very, very quick one, or they can do one which is still pretty fast, but will take over a 2-week period with 2 sessions with us. So I'll tell more about those details in about 2 weeks.
Amazing. Phenomenal, guys.
Right.
Well, Belinda, I'd like to just reflect on something, because I believe it was in November when you came here and you suggested that, look, this is all great, but you don't want to have to go away and do a ton of work between each session. And I think that's permeated through into not just you, but the tooling seems to be being built outside and all sorts of other things, and awareness. And as Guillem said, people are coming with this orientation. So yeah, just want to honor the original intention and how this set out, which is, getting together and really like knowing that this is important, but knowing that there's a whole ecosystem and a whole world that needs to come together to support us in these endeavors. So thank you for setting us out on that motion. And thank you everybody else who doesn't even know about us, who's building all the cool stuff that we need.
I know. Isn't it lovely when you have an idea whose time has come?
Yeah, but Belinda, you set the tone. It was like a tuning fork. It was the sweetest, most beautiful tone of sincerity and need. Okay, and it was just like you described it, but there was a tone about you, and I could feel it and I could hear that tone, and that resonated with so many people. And that's what I'm following. I'm starting to understand why I'm following that. but that's coming secondary to just because I recognize that tone, and it's all part of what Holochain is about. It's where we want to be. Beautiful.
Yep.
Thanks, Steve. And thank you all for coming along for the ride. It's fun.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone. See you in a couple of weeks. And then let's see all the progress then, and let's aim for hopefully in 4 weeks' time we get somebody else joining. And if anyone's watching and is really keen, well then I guess, and we can always schedule in the meantime.
Yeah.
An emergency session. All right.
Yeah. Great.
Super.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you so much. Take care.
Bye.